Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Kieran Tierney now seriously considering leaving Arsenal this summer amid Premier League interest. Kieran Tierney is now considering a summer exit from Arsenal amid transfer interest from Premier League clubs. The Sun report that Newcastle are among the sides keen and they are willing to pay £30 million to land the 25-year-old. They claim that the Scot knows other top flight clubs are also keen. Although they are unnamed in the report, Tierney has slipped behind Alexander Zinchenko in the pecking order at the Emirates Stadium and is becoming frustrated with his lack of game time. The Europa League comes back to Arsenal soon, and Mikel Arteta is apparently hoping that the opportunities for games in that competition helps appease Tierney. Arteta is apparently sympathetic to Tierney's situation, but it remains to be seen whether that translates into more matches moving forward. The Scotland international is an intense professional, and it's hard to imagine him being content with a bit part role at any club. Paul Merson has urged Arsenal to keep Tierney at the club despite his recent lack of games, writing in his Sports Skida column back in November. Arsenal need a big squad, and it does look like they will go deep into multiple competitions. They are at the top of the Premier League table, and they are doing well in the Europa League. Arsenal need to keep players like Kieran Tierney in their squad, he stated, and it's true that elite clubs have more than one top option in every position, and the challenge for Arteta is keeping them all happy. Matt Turner told he needs to leave Arsenal this summer by Brad Friedel. Brad Friedel has told Sporting Post that Matt Turner has to be ready to leave Arsenal in the summer, with the goalkeeper in danger of losing his number one spot with the USA. Turner has only made a handful of appearances for the Gunners following his summer switch, understandably. He has been an understudy for Aaron Ramsdale throughout the campaign. He would have surely been under no illusions that he would be second choice at the Emirates, but that move was something of a gamble from a personal perspective. Turner was a starter for his country at the World Cup, but it's not exactly a position that he has a rock solid grasp on, and with that, Friedel is concerned. The retired goalkeeper has suggested that Turner would be taking a real risk with his career should he spend too long at Arsenal, he said. I think that Matt, no matter what, even though Arsenal are an incredible club, has to find consistent football somewhere. This season, fine, but if he is not going to be the number one, he has got to go. The only issue is that he is on a long contract, and if you are Arsenal, why would you let him go? You have got incredible goalkeeper, an incredible guy, a great worker. You have one of the best number twos on the planet. Signing a number two goalkeeper must be one of the hardest jobs in football. More often than not, that player will be aware when joining that they are unlikely to play a huge amount. Sometimes the move pays off. You could have foreseen just how quickly Ramsdale would take the number one spot from Bernardino following his own move in 2021, but the move can also backfire. Alex Runarsson looked to be well off the level required when he joined the Gunners the previous year, so Arsenal will indeed be wary of losing Turner. There is little talk of the American rivaling Ramsdale right now, but he is someone who clearly has a lot of ability. You would imagine that many sides in the Premier League would happily take him as their backup. Having said that, you could hardly blame the boyhood Arsenal fan for wanting to join Mikel Arteta's side. He will surely have mixed feelings about the prospect of leaving the Emirates in the coming months. Alex Iwobi reacts with two words after Mohamed Elneny signs a new Arsenal contract. Alex Iwobi has congratulated Arsenal midfielder Mohamed Elneny on the news of his contract extension. The club announced yesterday that the 30-year-old has signed a one-year contract extension at the Emirates. It's a deal that will keep Elneny, who is currently the longest-serving member of the club, at Arsenal until the summer of 2024. Elneny went on to say the following: I am so happy, I love this club and our supporters so much, and I will give everything to help us be the best we can be every day I am here. It makes me so proud to have represented this amazing club since 2016. The spirit and togetherness we have in our squad right now is so positive, and I am so happy I have extended my contract. Elneny will be encouraged that Arsenal are happy to offer him a new contract while he is unavailable due to injury. At the end of last month, it was announced that Elneny had suffered a significant knee injury. His long-term absence meant Arsenal had to act fast in the final hours of the transfer market. It saw Jorginho arrive from Chelsea, and he immediately repaid Mikel Arteta's faith in him by playing a key role against Aston Villa on Saturday. The Egyptian king took to Instagram to celebrate signing a new deal and said, "A new chapter begins in my journey with Arsenal. I just signed a new contract. Arsenal for me isn't just a club I joined 7 years ago, which makes me the longest serving player currently. Arsenal is home, family, happiness, growth, and ambition. My Arsenal family, I love you." Alex Iwobi was clearly delighted with the news of his former teammate signing a new contract and said, "Yes, bro." Paul Merson has now said that Jorginho has already surpassed Elneny in the Arsenal pecking order. Regardless, Elneny's presence in the squad on and off the pitch will benefit everyone at the club. Nuno Tavares will surely return to Arsenal this summer after outscoring every defender in Europe. Which defender has the most goals in the top 5 leagues? Nuno Tavares, who surely will be back at Arsenal next season. It may seem like an oxymoron, but it's a reality. Nuno Tavares, who never adapted to the Premier League and left on loan from Arsenal, stands out in League One and Marseille, being the best of his kind in the top 5 leagues. 1.5 years ago, Arsenal acquired Nuno Tavares from Portugal on a regular transfer as a key member of the rotation and a fullback with excellent potential to be Kieran Tierney's backup. The goal, of course, was to adapt to the English conditions and to win a place in the Gunners roster, with Mikel Arteta knowing that the Scot often gets injured and is used to missing about one-third of the season, during which he plays in the Premier League. It quickly became apparent that Tavares wasn't ready, having wild fluctuations in his performance. He was never stable. He had serious problems defensively and in general in the tactical part. He stood out for his physical qualities, but he also seemed to be under a lot of psychological pressure, a fact that became clear from All or Nothing, the Arsenal documentary, in which the Portuguese has an appointment with the team psychologist to discuss being alone most of the day. The best decision for both sides was to go their separate ways, but without Arsenal selling Tavares, believing strongly that a fullback with such physical qualities might prove useful in the future. He left on loan at Marseille and is by far France's best left back at the moment. He scored 6 goals in 20 appearances, having managed to be the only defender in the top 5 leagues to score 6+ goals in an entire season in all competitions. Hopefully, he found the back of the net against Toulouse for the second time this season, and as oxymoronic as it may sound compared to his performance last year, Tavares is earning a place in Arsenal's summer training camp with his performances. After all, you can't not give a chance to the leading defender scorer in the whole of Europe, especially if you are Mikel Arteta, who suggested his acquisition. Xavi responds when asked if Mikel Arteta has surprised him at Arsenal. Xavi has responded to the Times when asked if what Mikel Arteta has achieved at Arsenal has taken him by surprise, with the Gunners leading the way in the Premier League this season. Arteta has established himself as one of the most exciting coaches in world football. Of course, that statement would have seemed almost unthinkable a couple of years ago. Arsenal handed the Spaniard his first job as a number one, and for some time it appeared that the job may be too big for the 40-year-old. It seemed almost remarkable at various points that the Arsenal board did not let him go. However, that faith has been vindicated in some style. Arsenal should have finished in the top four after forming such an exciting group of players last season. Once again, many doubted them this term after throwing fourth spot away at the final hurdle at the end of the campaign, but they now lead the way and they proved a massive point with their latest win. They are 2 points clear of Manchester City and they have a game in hand, and thus there are many of us who have been made to eat our words when it comes to Arteta. But was it Xavi one of them who doubted him? Apparently not. Xavi said the following: "No, he hasn't surprised me because he had the best references, having worked alongside Guardiola at City, and because if you have played as a central midfielder at Barca, you already have a head start. You have the map of your pitch in your head, and because Pepe Reina is a close friend of his and has always spoken very well of him, I had a feeling that Arteta would do very well, but it wasn't just a feeling. Arsenal have probably benefited this season by catching money by surprise. They have the potential to go 5 points clear at the top of the table, and yet many will suggest that City are still favourites. One of the next challenges for Arteta will be kicking on when expectations rise, and one of those tasks will surely involve leading Arsenal back into the Champions League. Perhaps it will not be too long before Xavi and Arteta do battle on Europe's biggest stage. Thierry Henry has just said something about growing family at Arsenal for the first time ever. Arsenal legend Thierry Henry has offered his support for the ownership of the club to the Crowing family for the first time. In September 2021, in the wake of the Super League debacle, Henry supported a takeover bid by Spotify's Daniel Ike as per Sky Sports, but the Crowings retained control of the club and they have overseen support for Mikel Arteta, which has led to the club to the top of the Premier League table. Now, Henry has told CBS Sports that he is happy for them to remain in charge of the club, and all he wanted was for Arsenal to be successful. He said, at the time, Daniel wanted to offer a solution to the fans who were all saying, sell, 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 but sell to who? We offered a solution. It wasn't meant to be, I am an Arsenal fan, let's win. It doesn't matter. We were there to offer a solution. You want it, you don't want it, it doesn't matter. Now everything is okay. Why would anyone want to disturb anything by changing owners? It's all I wanted. Whether it was me in or me out, I wanted Arsenal to be successful. That's the main point. This is the most united Arsenal have been since their move to the Emirates Stadium, with the fans right behind the team and creating noise at every game. The Gunners had a hugely important Saturday, getting a light win over Aston Villa hours before Manchester City were held 1-1 by Nottingham Forest. That swung the momentum in the title race back their way, but there is still a long way to go, and they have to play City at the Etihad Stadium before the end of the season. Arsenal and Real Madrid keen on young Serie A striker Rasmus Højlund. If there is one thing we can agree on, it's that Arsenal, despite winning games, does not score enough goals. Arsenal should find their own Haaland, or these days Marcus Rashford, is the striker any coach would want who can score goals consistently. According to the Italian outlet La Repubblica, Arteta appears to have already identified a striker with this potential. Rasmus Højlund of Atalanta has apparently grabbed Arteta's attention and is planning a huge proposal to bring the 20-year-old to the Emirates. Højlund, Real Madrid and Arsenal prepare a monstrous offer for Atalanta centre forward, writes the La Repubblica. Højlund has completely taken over the Italian football scene. He has 7 goals in 21 appearances for the Italian team, 11 of which were as a substitute. Looking at him, Arteta may see not just his talent but also his youth, which fits Arteta's project. Arteta's team might benefit from a dependable goal source. Prior to his injury, Jesus had a 10-game goal drought, hence, he isn't reliable. In filling the vacuum left by the Brazilian, Nketiah has not stepped up when needed. What would have happened if Arsenal had Haaland's 26 goals? Højlund has talent, and Real Madrid is interested in him as well. It may be exciting for Arsenal to beat the defending Champions League to the next thing out of Serie A. But would Arsenal need him if Balogun keeps developing rapidly in France? Only time will tell. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.